Welcome to the Darkstream, VoxDay, voxday.blogspot.com, and of course, Infogalactic as always. So it was interesting today because for once, I was not the subject of the hate and ire of the social media giants. They were actually after my wife today. Spacebunny was informed that she had been suspended from Twitter. And of course, what Twitter means by suspension is that you're banned permanently. As is often the case, there's no warning. You just get this email saying a weirdly chirpy email saying, "Hey there, we don't like you, and you've been bad, and so we're going to get rid of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. But if you want to appeal it, you can certainly send an email that no one's going to read or ever get back to you on." And the thing that's ridiculous about it, and it's very typical, is that she was banned for having responded to someone doing what they were complaining about, or what they supposedly suspended her for. She had gotten into it with some vegans, and there was this one woman in particular who was harassing her for, I think, more than a day. I think the better part of 2 days. And of course, the minute that Spacebunny responded in kind and told the woman she was stupid, suddenly, there's the complaints to the amenable authority. The amenable authority cracks down immediately on the person who is being attacked. This is a standard tactic. I mean, I actually fell into it once myself. I thought I was responding in a pretty circumspect manner, but it crossed the line that was necessary in order to get them to trigger a response, because of course the Twitter Trust and Safety Council is full of SJWs who are just looking for any excuse to permanently suspend anyone who is of an even remotely conservative / right-wing perspective. And so now, obviously, this is not exactly a surprise. Spacebunny was more amused than anything, and we were actually wondering. I think I got suspended for good from Twitter back in November last year, and so we were kind of wondering how long it was going to be before she ended up getting suspended as well. And sure enough, she got the informed by email today. But the important thing to understand is that this is coming for everybody. It's easy for people to dismiss it when it happens to people like Milo, when it happens to people like me, when it happens to anyone who is a moderately public online figure who is A, of the right, and B, controversial. That you expect that. We've come to expect that now. We know they're not playing fair. But what is new now is that they are going after people who are more or less non-controversial. And it's not just happening on Twitter. This is clearly a large-scale campaign, because we're seeing it all over the place. We're seeing it we talked about last night how Stripe not only got rid of Freestarter, but they also got rid of BitChute. They also got rid of the Maker whatever, that site. And so this is not going to stop. This is going to increase. And the point is there's absolutely no point in whining about it. There's no point in crying about it. There's no point in protesting it. And in fact, the sooner that the right accepts that there is no place for them on Facebook, on Twitter, and on the other big social media categories, the better. The more people that leave, the more people that refuse to support those platforms, the better it's going to be for all of us, and the sooner that we can establish rival and legitimate alternatives to what is out there. Twitter, actually, in this case, Twitter did give a specific reason for her ban. They actually included the 3 tweets that were in response to a woman who had been harassing her for 2 days. And they claimed that this was an attempt to silence her or something, which is just ridiculous. Basically, she got banned for calling a very stupid woman stupid. So theoretically, you can no longer call anyone stupid on Twitter. Of course, you can if you're of the left. If you're of the right, they will do that. Yeah, I mean, there's a comment here saying, one of the problems with getting people off of the social media platforms is because they think that they're going to convince leftists they are wrong. That is not happening. You've also got the idiots who are like, oh, but I love the bants. It's so much fun to banter. Well, whatever. That's not a reason to support the left. And what all of this is, and what it's happening, of course, is that the left thinks that they're going to prevent a electoral meltdown in 2018 this fall by getting on top of the social media platforms. They think that Trump won because of our activity on the social media platforms. Now, there's probably some element of truth to that, but what they don't realize is that what they're doing is actually going to help Trump, and it's going to help even the milquetoast Republicans as well, because the crazier they get, the more obnoxious they behave to people who just simply do not even remotely justify that kind of behavior. I can tell you right now, everybody who knows me and my wife is not even remotely sympathetic to my getting kicked off Twitter. Their attitude is, okay, well, maybe nobody should get kicked off Twitter, but if somebody's going to get kicked off Twitter, it's going to be Vox. Fine. He's controversial. He's not afraid to state his opinion. He's very unorthodox, and so of course he offends somebody, and of course, the SJWs are going to take away his microphone if they can. But I can tell you that there's a lot of people, even Democrat voting liberals, who are horrified and appalled by the fact that Spacebunny got the Twitter axe. And so this is only going to work in our favor. They would not be behaving like this if they were winning. If they were winning, they wouldn't care. But they do, so we know they're not. But that doesn't change the fact that we need to stop dicking around and start getting serious about winning the culture war. I mean, I can't tell you how many people simply don't prepare for this stuff. They don't, they insist on supporting the left and just hoping that the whole situation is going to magically fix itself. It's not. Somebody just mentioned that in the one criminal case against Antifa in the Berkeley protests, the individual was just acquitted of assault. All 5 defendants were acquitted of assault, despite the fact that they physically attacked someone, and they got away with it. So, there is no law in Berkeley. You can't expect the law to be fair. You can't expect the social media giants to treat anyone fairly. Stop waiting for it. The persecution that they are engaging in is going to intensify, and it is going to get worse. So prepare for that. Find your alternatives, get your alternatives going. People say, "Oh, well, you're on Google. Isn't it hypocritical for you to say that when your blog is on Blogger and Google owns Blogger?" Well, for the last 10 years, I have had my blog mirrored in multiple locations on different services. Because if the time comes when Google shuts my blog down, I will simply tell everyone where the other sites are. I'm ready for that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, and so we'll just have to see what is going on there. But anyhow, so that's my first message for the night is stop messing around with this stuff. Find the alternatives, look on the alternatives, and support the alternatives. Because if you don't, there's not going to be anyone there to help you or to support you when they come after you. Here's a good question from the professor. Why not move the blog now? When they shut it down, all the inward links will die. I want to make them do it. I don't want them to be able to say, "Oh, well, we didn't do anything." He chose to plead innocence and claim that their hands are clean. I am not going to permit that. The same way that I didn't quit SFWA, I'm going to force them to show their hand if that's what they want to do. Now, actually, I don't think that that's likely to happen because I don't break any of Google's rules, and they don't want to have to take. They don't want to be shown doing that, especially because there would be some definite legal questions about whether they can do that sort of thing. So anyhow, let's move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, and that is the new release of the best-selling comic, Quantum Mortis 2. You can see here, this is a recent screenshot. We just released Quantum Mortis, The Man Disrupted #2 today in digital format. You can get it for Kindle. You can get it for Kindle Unlimited. And it's already a #1 bestseller in comics and graphic novels. It's the #1 bestseller in the military category. It's the #1 bestseller in the short reads category, which is basically the single issue comic. So thank you for supporting that, those of you who have already done so. And if you haven't gotten it yet, well, let me give you a little guided tour of issue #2. So, oops, that's not the right cover I wanted to show. This is the cover of #2. Someone said the Russians are making this a bestseller. There were some complaints that we didn't have quite enough action in the first one, and so we thought, okay, let's throw a little more action into it from the get-go. So this is the cover. It's issue #2, and the print editions. When the print edition, yes, there will be non-Kindle versions, in the sense that we will put it on Comicology at some point if Comicology ever accepts our submissions. And we'll have a gold logo edition out in print. I believe the print edition will be available in about a week or so. But don't wait for the print edition. Go ahead, and if you've got Kindle Unlimited, definitely pick it up. You know, if you've already paid for Kindle Unlimited, it's free. Download it, put it on your Kindle, then go get a print version, a print edition. Here's another good question from Joe. Vox, would you consider Alt Hero a success? I expected more press coverage, YouTube reviews. Alt Hero is absolutely a success. We have real movie interest. It's been a bestseller. People really like it. You can read the reviews on Amazon. There's dozens of reviews. Rolling Stone is trying to do an expose on us, and they're actually Facebook stalking friends of people that are involved with Alt Hero. It's really getting absurd. And so, you know, by the way, the people responsible for that, in case you want to email them to let them know that we are aware of what they're up to, it's the reporter Amanda Robb from, she does some freelance stuff for Rolling Stone. And the other guy, his name is Al something or other. Let me see here. He does a show on NPR. His name is Al something. It's Reveal, I think is the name of the show. I think that we'll probably be putting in some kind of complaint about what they're doing there. But Al Lerner, maybe? I'm not sure. Hang on a second. Let's see. That's not it. Can't seem to find it here, and I thought I wrote about this at one point. One more try. That's not it either. Okay, here we go. Al Letson. He's the host of Reveal, a public radio program and podcast showcasing investigative stories. They actually interviewed Chuck Dixon, and the whole thing turned into like, you know, do you know that these are bad people doing bad things and bad thinkers and so forth? So anyhow, so we're going to be sending in some sending in some complaints, because it's one thing to do a journalistic report. It's another thing to be Facebook stalking people's friends, and so yeah, that's not okay, because clearly what they're trying to do is they're trying to get involved in doxing and so forth. Anyhow, so let's go on a little bit more here with Quantum Mortis. That's the cover. This is the title page. The name of the issue number 2 is 00 Tango, and that's explained deeper into the issue. And so then let's see here. Then this is the first page. And you know, the thing to keep in mind about Quantum Mortis is that Quantum Mortis is a novel it's literally more of a graphic novel. And so it's a novel in graphic format. We've got a new colorist on this one. Matvei Danilovich is still the illustrator, but he's no longer doing the coloring. He's focusing on the illustration. And we have a new professional colorist who's, I think, done a really, really nice job here. Very vibrant. And so because this is a large story, and because these are chapters in a full novel, you know, it takes longer to get going, because there's a lot more setup, there's a lot more world building, there's a lot more dialogue. You know, even though we've stripped it down quite a bit, there's still a lot more than you're going to see in your average 18-page posturing, insulting, and punching Marvel or DC comic. So this is where it begins. Tower and baby are talking, and all I'm showing you here is the stuff that's in the look inside. So just giving you a little background, letting you get a peek at what we're doing. This is page 1. Page 2, Tower and baby are continuing their conversation, and yes, the first issue is still available, absolutely. Also available on Kindle Unlimited and also available in print. So, and the cool thing about what we're doing with Quantum Mortis is it's only $2.99. You know, the average price of a Marvel DC comic now is $4.14. We're actually doing, instead of doing 18 pages in color, you know, our print editions are, we have 23 full pages of action. So, you know, and it's only $3 or on the Castelia Direct Store, $2.99. So we are focusing on, we're focusing on keeping it affordable. You know, this is supposed to be an entry point, not something that is expensive and so we're you know, if you look at the value proposition, we're actually offering a nearly 50% more value than the current stuff. We may eventually do subscriptions someday, but we're not going to do that for a while because, you know, we're just not on a regular schedule yet, and so I don't want to put that additional pressure on us. So anyhow, here the interesting thing here is that Tower and baby are discussing life. You know, they've just come from a murder scene, and they're discussing life, and we start learning more here about the fact that the artificial intelligent augments not only have a personality, but have beliefs of their own, which are distinct from the humans. Here they're returning to MCID. MCID is the Military Criminal Investigative Division, and they specifically, this branch, Tower, works for XAR, which is the Xenocriminology and Alien Relations, and which is kind of ironic, of course, because he doesn't like aliens. And so he meets here Mayor Zoithan. Mayor Zoithan is the commander of MCID XAR, and he's pretty tolerant of Tower, considering how much damage Tower tends to do. Now, this is something I want to get into here. There are people who are going to criticize panels like these, and they're going to say, "Oh, it's too much talking. Nothing's happening. It's all dialogue. Vox doesn't know what he's doing with comics. You know, this is all wrong. You're supposed to be doing, you know, 2-page spreads of 2 guys punching each other without any words, right?" Well, let me show you something. This is The Amazing Spider-Man. This is a Golden Age example. Stan Lee was working on it with John Romita, it looks like. So what we're doing is not new. What we're doing is not ignorant. You know, somebody just said, too many words. It all depends what you're doing. You know, if you just want to look at a picture, if what you're focused on is only pictures, then yeah, what we're doing is probably not for you, right? But I assure you, now, I promise you this, Quantum Mortis has more action in it, more extreme action than practically any comic book that's out there. All right? I mean, but we're not there yet in the story. You know, we're not trying to tell the entire story in a single issue. The story is too big to tell in a single issue. It's a coherent story. It's a good story, right? But we are taking our time to get there. And so perhaps you can, perhaps you can get there. Well, somebody says, well, that's also from the Sunday strip, not a comic proper. Well, yes, that's probably true. I think that is true. I noticed that actually after I just grabbed it quickly before I started this live stream. But the point is that it's still the way that comics tell the story. Comics were done that way. And I believe that, at least in most cases, they were better. Certainly, they sold a hell of a lot more copies then. Now, maybe there's various reasons for that. All I'm saying is, and I'm not saying that this is necessarily the best way or the only way or anything like that. I'm not saying, gee, we're doing this in Quantum Mortis, therefore everybody should do that. We're not even doing this in Alt Hero. All I'm saying is that it is an option. It is a legitimate option, and it is not an option that is based in complete ignorance of comics. It's just a different choice. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. Either way, I would encourage you to give it a try, because even if you tend to be more oriented towards picture comics and pure action comics, you might find that you like the story, because I guarantee you there's going to be some pretty interesting angles, pretty interesting elements that are going to be appearing in this over the next few issues. And so I think that it's something that, if you like comics or if you like great stories, it's something you should consider checking out. So anyhow, thank you for supporting Alt Hero. Thank you for supporting Quantum Mortis. There's a question about Alt Hero number 2. Alt Hero number 2 is going to come out in digital next Monday, and it'll come out in print not too long after that. So we're getting into our groove, and we are definitely looking forward to getting this stuff out there for you guys, hearing what you think about it. And I think you're going to see, the way that you've seen the art improve in Alt Hero, you've seen the art improve in Quantum Mortis. You're going to see the same thing in Alt Hero. I guarantee it. So, have a good evening. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.